You are listening to the Two and Out CFL podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Grab some poutine and a double-double. It's time for the Two and Out CFL podcast.
He's got it! Oh, baby!
Every week, Travis Currah.
That's Grey Cup me, which is a different person.
And Brazilian Ty.
Punters are people too.
Talk fantasy football, bring you the latest in CFL news, and sprinkle in a little bit of nonsense.
Oh, nearly intercepted, and it's over!
Ready, set, hunt!
Welcome to episode 375 of the Two and Out CFL podcast. We've been doing it for that long, Brazilian Ty. You'll notice something different right off the top. We are no longer a part of the Alberta Podcast Network, not because we were kicked out. It's because the network is.
I mean, if they didn't disband the network, we were probably like on the ledge.
In all seriousness, the Alberta Podcast Network gave a couple outcasts a chance, and Karen is the one that welcomed us in. Fonda took it over recently over the last year and a half or so. But if it wasn't for the Alberta Podcast Network, we don't have the two live shows, the one in Calgary, the one in Edmonton, the resources that helped us produce those and put them on and helped us organizing with the venue and the ticket sales and everything to do with that was because of the Alberta Podcast Network, and really gave me the belief and showed us that we actually do have a pretty cool community that listens to the show. As much as we joke that there are half a dozen people listening every once in a while, it showed that, hey, this is pretty cool, and what we do is pretty fun. So it's pretty sad to see the Alberta Podcast Network go away. I was able to bring so many great podcasters and put them on my radar and other people's radars throughout the province of Alberta, and go support those podcasts if you know of them. I know the website's still up for a little bit, just a show of the alumni with the Alberta Podcast Network. And maybe we'll have to open up a Patreon. Would people pay $2 a month to listen to Two and Out? I don't know.
Depends on what you're going to eat.
What am I going to eat? Ugh.
What won't you eat?
That's a better question.
Yeah.
Although I was in a watermelon eating contest once, I don't want to touch that stuff ever again.
That's fair.
Like most eating contests, I'm like, yeah, I'll eat it in a bit, but watermelon, no, I am done. But I guess you are, what, 4 weeks removed from surgery?
Yeah, 3.
How you feeling, man?
The only way I could feel worse, I think, is if I spent one night in China. But you didn't think I'd be able to get that in, did you?
I didn't.
But, I mean, still running out of breath, like making supper, pain. Like, if I do too much in a day, the next day is kind of hell. But I don't have any of the good drugs because I almost died in the hospital, basically. So all I got was Toradol. So I'm not having.
Did you legit?
Well, if they wouldn't have, they were checking on me every 4 hours. So it was probably like 3 hours of O2 saturation under 50%. And like a fever of 39 degrees and just white. So like it was not
that's
great.
Saying something for you.
Yeah, like I was mad when they woke me up because I was having an unreal sleep. And they're like, well, yeah, you were basically unconscious. I'm like,
oh, that's why it was so well rested.
It was phenomenal.
Well, you're back.
Yeah, and I'll be home for a bit, so do a couple episodes anyway. Wow. Golf season is delayed.
Do you still have the hospital band on your arm?
No, that's my whoop. But so I went to the hospital on the Thursday with a really bad attack. They didn't ultrasound me or anything. They gave me
gallbladder, right?
Yeah, it was my gallbladder, but they only gave me antibiotics for diverticular disease and sent me home.
Oh.
So when I went Friday, our buddy Nick, who tore his bicep, was checking in for his surgery at the same time. I was readmitting myself to the ER, and I'm like, I still have this on. Like, can I just keep this? Like, yeah, you can just keep that one.
We're all falling apart, man.
Oh man, our pets' heads are falling off.
Man. Well,
But
can you laugh or do you
it
feel
hurts,
it?
but I
Okay.
can. Yep.
Okay.
Like, it's pretty. Like it was like, have you ever tried to get mud out of a wheel well of a truck? Like
I've
when
never
you're
worked
washing
on
it.
this day in my life.
No, like when you're washing your truck.
Yeah,
I know
I
you had like you're working radio. You work in radio. That's what my gallbladder and liver were like. So it was like 2.5 hours when it should only take about an hour. So like my lungs were starting to collapse, and yeah, it was a whole ordeal.
Now, in our group chat, you attributed your downfall to starting at the Grey Cup in Edmonton, Tune Out Live, when you had a spoonful of margarine on stage.
And salt.
And salt.
Now I'm eating light margarine.
Oh, okay. So the lifestyle changes.
Eating a lot of chicken and rice, a lot of turkey buns, not a lot of red meat yet. I'm afraid to like flood my system with fat because
Brazilian Ty, and I'm not joking, thought fruit was just decorative.
Yeah.
Had an apple the other day.
I had an apple and banana yesterday and today.
I'm glad you had a good apple, because sometimes you get a mealy, mushy one.
Those are the worst. That's why I only buy Granny Smiths.
Absolute worst.
I only buy Granny Smiths, and I make sure they're rock hard.
Yeah, they stay pretty good.
Yeah.
So
the red apples all of them can beat it.
Brazilian Ty eating apples with a side of light margarine on the side.
I bought light peanut butter too. Like,
ooh,
it's fine. It's fine. Like, there's still sugar.
I've had it. I know.
It's just light. It's just less fat because I now have no gallbladder, and I don't want to spend the day running to the toilet like I had to on Thursday.
Before the episode becomes TMI, there are some CFL things to talk about. I guess the biggest news over the past couple of weeks is the football program, and I guess it's not CFL related, coming to an end at Simon Fraser University.
Yeah.
Now, they've been a Div 2 team in the NCAA for a while.
Which never made any sense why they did that.
So the whole school is NCAA Div 2, all of their sports.
Yep.
And I guess there's a rule with U Sports, so you can't just have one sport in U Sports. But instead of SFU going to U Sports, seeing if they could maybe get an exemption for the football program, they said no and just shut her down. There's a class action lawsuit against the university from football alumni, current players, the BC Lions, and Amar Dolman. Not only is he trying to create a great atmosphere inside BC Place, he's doing it all around the province with amateur football. The BC Lions 50-50 program just donated $300K to amateur football in the province. He is a smart guy. He's playing the long game. He wants to see the level of football below the pros still getting love and growing the game in the province of BC. And they brought back the Shrum Bowl last year, so that coming to an end in BC, it is a big deal. Some CFL greats came out of that university. The league has been talking to U Sports to see if they would give the exemption to SFU to play football in U Sports. Either way, no matter what way you look at it, this is a big blow to football on the West Coast and in Canada.
Yeah, and I mean, like you mentioned the alumni, and like Simon Fraser is basically one of those schools. I kind of equate it to Shattuck St. Mary's and schools like that, and like Notre Dame, where you were playing sports to go there for the most. Like that's just how it felt. Like if you were going to Simon Fraser's because you were an athlete, and then they switched over. The switch to NCAA, other than money, maybe. I mean, they go 17-91 in Div 2 of NCAA.
Wow.
Who's going to go look at players playing for that team? Unless you're like absolutely an outlier.
I kind of wondered if it was honestly a cost cutting, like for travel.
Can West can be difficult, but
yeah,
I'm going to look up who's in that conference.
That's kind of just what I wondered where it came from.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a big campaign right now. I don't know if I've really seen anything like this, where the entire football community is really rallying around to save this community. It's not like, at least it doesn't appear that there were, 3 people going to games and there was just no money and they were playing with equipment that's 30 years old. You know what I mean? It didn't seem like anything like that. It just seemed like, we're just kind of done. But Amar Doman, he's continuing, he's making the rounds, and I don't know, it kind of seems like they're gonna have to cave and play football. That's just what it looks like to me.
Yeah, there's just so much red tape and bureaucracy for them to get back into U Sport and Can West and everything like that. And I'm sure U Sport's probably pissed.
Yeah.
And holding a grudge. Like, I mean, we saw it with WCW and WWE, like, guys going back and forth. And, like, the fans don't really care because they get to see their favorite guys, but you got to think behind the scenes. It's like, well, how long are you going to stay here? Like, what's the plan? I'm sure Simon Fraser going to up and leave again because it obviously didn't work, but it's just, it's a really bad look.
The biggest story is the players. Like, all these guys are like
getting screwed. Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah.
That's a terrible situation right there.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that gets figured out here.
I mean, do you really you have a game in Anchorage? How much fun are you having in Anchorage in the middle of football season?
Yeah.
That could be same for Saskatoon, though. I mean,
I guess when I brought up the travel to Canada West, I mean, going to Alaska is not really that easy either compared to Calgary or whatever.
But I mean, you got to go play the Bisons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's a hike.
Quite the trek. Yep. We do know the host for the next 2 Vanier Cups, one happening this year, November 25th. Yes, if you're keeping score, that is after the Grey Cup again. It's going to be at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. Am I seeing that this is the first time they've hosted a Vanier Cup since the first one?
Yeah.
That's pretty wild, actually. The Golden Gales have won the Vanier Cup in 68, 78, 92, and 2000.
This is their first Vanier Cup, though.
Oh.
Because it wasn't. It was the Canadian University football title.
Oh, it wasn't a Vanier Cup yet?
It wasn't a Vanier Cup yet.
Wow.
So there's only been 7 cities that have hosted a Vanier.
Okay.
And now it'll be 8.
Wow. So,
and I mean, we said a long time ago, like, yeah, it's nice to have it in the same place as the Grey Cup, but at the same time, it's nice for these other smaller places, that university that's going to host, they get some of the gate, I'm sure, and it gets people there excited and it helps that team. Because, I mean, if you're hosting, that team wants to definitely kind of build around that. You don't get a bye or you don't get a berth into the final game, but you have that, like, if we play good enough, you get to play at home. And I think that's a huge recruiting tool.
I think it's probably good to have them on the same weekend as the Grey Cup, though. Maybe you can make the Grey Cup a more of a Canadian celebration for all of the sport of football.
Mm-hmm. And I would almost want to do it on the Friday, though, for Vanier Cup.
And maybe have the games in the same province, at least. Maybe not necessarily the same venue. Maybe that doesn't matter. I don't know. But being
as long as it's televised and it's easy to find.
Yeah, I think that's important for sure. As we go to CFL news and back to the BC Lions, they've introduced some new uniforms, and I think we're going to be seeing this across the CFL with New Era finally putting their stamp on the.
At least it's not look. Fanatics.
Yeah, everyone's going that way, and I really hope the CFL doesn't, honestly, but we'll see. So the Lions are going to be wearing black at home. I think they look pretty sharp, and then the
they
fawn
are
gray on the road.
Unreal. Yeah. Unreal. I love everything about them. The orange was sharp, like, don't get me wrong, but now I think it stands out a lot more with the black. Not such a primary jersey color. Like, I mean, I'm sure they'll come out with an orange jersey, next season or something as a third. but I really like the black with the orange.
Even the Edmonton Elks were unveiling a new look helmet a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And looks like in the lettering of the EE, it had members of the Edmonton Football Club that have made the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in that EE, which that's a pretty cool touch.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty slick. And the stamps were teasing a new look as well.
Danny Austin said we won't be disappointed.
Nice. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of these new looks around the CFL. And I hope the stamps, let's ditch the black. I like their fresh red and white look, even that they did with the 75th anniversary stuff. I thought that stuff looked great. Leave the red and black to the Ottawa team and differentiate them a little bit anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and the Riders go back to their old jerseys. You know, the old red and black ones they had. Because 1 year when we were at Craven, it was like 2010, I think, Craven.
Yeah, those 100-year anniversary jerseys.
I'm like, what are we watching right now?
The Stamps, by the way, have signed defensive lineman Mike Moore, so that'll be a big addition to their defensive line. I did mention the Ottawa Red Blacks. RJ Harris, the receiver, is retiring. He had a couple good years when they last went to the Grey Cup in 2018. He had almost 700 yards, and then the year after that, 774 yards. And I think after that, a combination of a little bit of injuries, but a combination of just the way the franchise went with bad offense, bad quarterbacking, not many opportunities for RJ Harris after that. But
when it's a revolving door behind center, it's kind of hard to get in a groove.
Yeah,
as a receiver.
And they've also been able to bring back Davon Coleman on the defensive line for the Red Blacks. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have extended Keon Schaefer-Baker for 2 years. It does appear that he's going to miss the beginning of the season, as he did have himself hip surgery. 24 years old, 412 yards after the catch. He's one of the best receivers in the league after the catch. As long as he comes back and he's healthy, he's going to be a focal point of that Rough Rider offense going forward.
The one problem with him coming back healthy is I believe he has the chance to go down south.
Yeah.
So if he comes back healthy and tears it up, it's kind of a catch-22. But, I mean, nice to have some continuity on the route. Like, we weren't sure what was going to happen in Regina. It kind of like the whole world kind of blew up after week 10 last year when everything just started going completely wrong. You know, everybody's kind of gone and there's new faces in there, but there's still some familiar faces. So that's nice to see.
It does appear I buried the lead, though. Kim Mitchell performing the halftime show of the Rough Rider home opener this year.
I think I'm sick that week. There will be decisions to be made that day.
Man, between lager and ale. I love it.
Like, that took way too long.
It did take far too long for me. That is awesome. Playing the home opener there.
When you gave me your ticket, or I bought your tickets from you for Jason Claremont overtime.
I think it was 2007, actually. That era, anyway. 2010, the semifinals, they beat BC 41-38 in double overtime.
Yeah,
at Mosaic Stadium.
That's the game I went to.
And then 2010, they beat Calgary in the West Final, which I'm sure
with like 800 turnovers.
Yeah, minus whatever it was that day.
Yeah,
man, couple good years back there, and it's the Lions are getting back into the mix now, and the Riders are falling out of it. Although great. We're all tied at this point.
Yeah, everybody's got a shot. Everybody's got a chance
in the off season.
It's like every NHL. Well, when the people listen to this, it won't be, but every NHL playoff series right now is tied. Like, everybody has a shot, except for the Kings and the Panthers.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have posted a $4.9 million profit in 2022.
And still won't buy your brother a beer.
If we didn't show up, we would have showed up to a brawl.
Man. No, because I was starting the brawl later. So if we wouldn't have been there, it probably would have been pretty mellow.
Labor Day in Regina. You never know what can happen there. But the Bombers they're the model franchise.
Mm-hmm.
They win. They lead the league in attendance. They did last year, and they're now the franchise that teams want to model after. So congrats to the Bombers for doing that. Are you watching USFL football, Ty?
No, but I saw the MBT highlights.
Yeah, he got a win.
Yeah.
Hergy Mayala did get released, so we'll see if he does come back to the CFL. Have you watched the snap of XFL football?
Nope.
Yeah, there we go. The CFL draft coming up on May 2nd.
It's like wrestling. Like, I don't watch AEW either.
Yeah, there's listeners to this podcast. They'll crap on us for that, but I tried to watch an episode of Dynamite.
You can't get invested. It's been too long with WWE. I can't, there's just no emotional investment. I don't like enough of the guys over there. It's just whatever.
We're creatures of habit.
Eventually they come back.
Yeah, they all come back.
Except for CM Punk.
We've got some cool games to look forward to this season as Darren Flutie will be added to the Wall of Honor in Hamilton, and Wally Buono will be added to the Wall of Fame in BC. It sounds crazy that he's not there already, to be honest. But just a sec. Can you see it?
I barely. You got to bring it up. Yeah.
The Wally Buono bobblehead.
The Godfather.
For the YouTube watchers of Two and Out, all half a dozen of you.
Yeah, Mom doesn't watch on YouTube. So
I don't blame anybody for not doing it.
I mean, sometimes it's the only way she gets to see me, so I'm surprised she doesn't.
You're less mobile with your recent surgery, so I'm sure she sees you more often now and is a fan of that.
She is my walking partner. So that's the most I've seen her in like the last 7 years.
Wow.
Like almost every day. And she's not even feeding me.
So what are you going to do for her for Mother's Day?
Why are you like this? Why are you the way that you are?
Hey, that's coming up in like a month, less than a month. So
I'll just get a bag of jujubes and I'll eat all of them except the black ones.
So thoughtful. The black ones are the worst.
I'm her favorite. They're her favorite.
The black ones?
Yeah, she's a weirdo.
It's the black licorice. I'm not.
She loves black licorice too. Loves Zambuca.
Okay.
But I'm her favorite.
Maybe do the drink though.
I'm her favorite son, so I can do no wrong.
Okay. Are you the only son?
It's not the point, Travis.
That does it for this quick one of the Two and Out CFL podcast. The draft coming up in 2 weeks. NHL playoffs getting underway tonight as well, so you might not be paying attention to us anyway. We'll talk to you.
I won't be.
In a few weeks, you can rate, review, and subscribe to Two and Out, your favorite podcatcher. Check us out on YouTube as well. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.